Hey, everybody. Well, I am in another motel room, as you can probably tell, but this is on the other side of the Florida Peninsula. That's right. I am now not on the Atlantic side anymore, as I was just yesterday, but rather I am on the Gulf side now. Specifically, I am in Clearwater, Florida. And a few hours ago, I went and surreptitiously recorded myself walking around the Scientologist facilities here in town. They have this huge hotel and adjoining facilities in which they do their Scientology stuff, I guess. And I did this, like I said, a few hours ago. It's very sloppy. It's very amateurishly done. It's, I mean, it maybe has a certain charm to it, but I decided it wasn't up to snuff as far as landing on my main page because everything that's here is quality, like high quality. You're not going to see it on this channel unless it's grade A material, and this was more like grade B minus material. So I posted it on one of my backup channels. YouTube is my whore. So if you've got 7 minutes to spare, and you don't get motion sickness very easily, you can take a look at that video and judge for yourself. I was somewhat paranoid, but not unduly paranoid. For the second time on this trip, I was thinking I was going to get accosted by somebody, even though I was just walking on the sidewalk. But I knew that if I was walking around holding the phone up to the building, that would get me noticed, and that would get me some notice that I didn't want to have. But anyhow, I wanted to just reflect seriously about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Last night I recorded this very snarky video about why I thought that feminist women should go on a sex strike. And that was a kind of response to this decision. But since it's such an earth-shattering thing, such a major paradigm shifter, shall we say, I thought it would be worthwhile to reflect on it for a moment. Now, somebody sent me this meme, and it was supposed to be amusing, and it was amusing, but it also put me in mind of something, and that is providence. The saying, God works in mysterious ways. You can sort of knock yourself out trying to figure out why this happened, why that happened. Nothing that ever happened wasn't supposed to happen if you believe as I do in a cosmic authority, and that God is good. I don't want to plumb the theological depths here or get into any kind of tedious debates with anyone. I'm just saying that you have to have a certain understanding of providence, that things work themselves out, that nothing happens in isolation from anything else, and that something might seem bad immediately, but it may eventually lead to something that's better than you would ever have imagined happening. I remember hearing a proverb, and I think I've talked about this before. I think this proverb is from the Taoist tradition, where it's told from the point of view of a young man, and he breaks his leg and then people say, "Oh, what a shame," and then the wise man says, who knows what's good or bad?" And then people come to draft the young men to fight in a war, and the young man can't go because he broke his leg, and he's relieved because he doesn't have to go off and fight this war. And people say, "Wow, you're lucky. You really lucked out on this one, young man." But the wise man says, "Who knows what's good or bad?" And then other stuff happens. It's like it keeps seesawing back and forth in that same manner. So that's not really talking about providence per se, but it is talking about how seemingly bad um, occurrences may have good outcomes, and vice versa. So you should never get too up or too down. And I've said before, things are always in flux, and that's why I think the black pill, as I understand it, anyway. I know some people will say I'm not understanding it correctly, but I think the black pill, which just seems to say it's just going to be bad forever and ever, is wrong. Just like being some kind of oofy doofy optimist would be wrong as well, because things are always in flux. If you're in a golden age, if you find yourself in a golden age, it's already starting to rot and decay and become corrupt. And if you find yourself in a deeply corrupted age, as I believe we do, well, at the same time, there are people who are building things up again, and we may not see it all happening right now, but it is happening. And more recently, there's been that meme, about why bad men create hard times create good men create good times create weak men, and on and on. Again, the seesaw, the circular sort of thing. Well, the meme that I saw that somebody showed me regarding Roe v. Wade was it was like maybe you've seen this. It was like a set of dominoes that were set up, and the first domino was President Obama makes fun of Trump in a 2011 dinner speech, and so that's the first piece, and then there are several pieces in the middle, and then the last piece that falls is Roe v. Wade is overturned. So by the logic that is established in that meme, or it's more like a cartoon almost, like a New Yorker cartoon, except the very opposite politically, but but pithy and ironic in that same sort of way. So I don't know what made Donald Trump run for president. I don't know whether he was always going to be president. I don't know if that was meant to happen from the start. If he was just controlled opposition. I'm sure he is controlled opposition in one way or another. But let's just say that he got this idea of running for president after Obama mocked him in a speech in 2011, and he was probably mocking him because Trump, I believe, was a believer, was a birther, as they used to say, regarding Obama not having been born in the United States. But if that was the thing that if that event was what made Trump decide to run for president eventually, and Trump running for president led eventually to him getting elected president, and then he just happened to preside for one term so far, anyway. But let's just stick with that one term. Most presidents who serve two terms serve them concurrently, one after the other. but Trump only served one term, and yet in those 4 years that he was president, he had three Supreme Court justice picks to make. Um, and he had just enough people, since things are so hyper partisan right now in Washington D.C. and elsewhere. He had just enough people on his on the Senate side who were Republican to get his nominees through just barely. And in one case, he replaced a guy who was already conservative, Justice Scalia, who I believe died under strange circumstances. I will not affect it. I will not buy into the official story about Scalia's death. But in any case, so he replaced Scalia with another conservative, and that just kept the balance of the court as it was. But then Kennedy resigned. Kennedy was basically a moderate. Sometimes he voted on the conservative side. Sometimes he voted on the more liberal side. And he replaced him with Kavanaugh, who you remember the whole brouhaha surrounding him, of course, right? I'm sure you do. And yet, for all the Sturm und Drang and the fact that he just barely was nominated by the skin of his teeth, still that's as good as having 100 senators vote for you. Having 51 senators vote for you is as good as having 100 vote for you, because you're either way it means you're nominated. And then the big one, just before the end of what would prove to be his only term, so far anyway, we saw the death of the notorious RBG, and just in time, just before the election, in which, rightly or wrongly, Trump was declared to be the loser, and I do think there was chicanery in that election, more so than typical. I'm sure there's always chicanery in every election, but this time more so than typical. But nevertheless, Trump is able to appoint the MILF. He got the MILF lady in, Justice Barrett, the one in whom the doctrine sings loudly, or however it was put. And she replaced again a far left justice. So Trump got to replace the conservative with a conservative. He got to replace the moderate with a conservative, and he got to replace a liberal with a conservative. That swung the court decisively to the right and set the stage for what proved to be the reversal of Roe v. Wade. So when you think about all those things happening, one after another, leading to this outcome, when this person showed me this cartoon or this meme or whatever, saying, that suggesting that there was a causal chain of events that started innocently enough with Obama making jokes about Trump at a public dinner in front of the press, and ended with, of course, it didn't end with this, because it never ends. It just goes on and on, my friend. But this particular chain of events wound up with Roe v. Wade being overturned. And again, that was something, as I said in a prior video, that was something I never, ever thought I would see in my lifetime. Just didn't think it would happen. but it has happened. The impossible has happened. Now, that doesn't mean it's the end of abortion, not by any means. There's still, like I was saying before, there's still all those blue states where they've made the abortion law so extreme that you basically can kill your child right up to the day of its birth. I believe the New York law is somewhere along those lines. The California law is pretty awful as far as that goes too. So what this seems to be contributing to now is balkanization. The further balkanization, because people are going to want to live in states that reflect their values, right? People don't. If people really are into abortion, and the way it used to be, the kosher thing to say about abortion used to be, "Oh, nobody likes abortion. It's always a tough decision." But the way you hear abortion advocates talking lately, maybe it's just bravado, but it's a very sick, ghastly type of bravado. You hear them just laughing and cackling, and saying, pull that bastard out of you and kill it, and people are cheering and applauding when they're hearing those sorts of things being said. I mean, the mask has slipped, and we're seeing the ugly face beneath the mask. So yeah, it's not the end of abortion, not by a long shot, but it is a huge milestone, and again, one that I never thought would take place. And my answer to this person when he sent me that message was providence. This is providence. This is how God works. He works in wondrous, sometimes mysterious, sometimes circuitous, sometimes incomprehensible ways. Those are my thoughts on the matter. Anyway, thanks for watching.